everyone. This week we're going to focus on municipal zoning as we finish reading Poverty by America by Matthew Desmond. Okay, so Desmond makes this comparison between zoning and walls. Essentially, zoning is the means by which we divide other people from ourselves. Instead of using walls, we use laws, right? And he's saying that, like all walls, they're kind of boring, but they're very important for understanding the built community and residences that we have. Okay, so let's just back up and talk about zoning to start with. So to organize cities, land areas are set aside for certain uses and forbidden from other uses. And this prevents industry from setting up in residential areas, for example. And, we're going to mostly, following Desmond, talk about some of the problems that zoning causes. But the basic idea is, some industries are loud or polluting or create a lot of traffic. Like, no one really wants a manufacturing plant that operates 24 hours a day 20 feet down the road from their house, right? Like, that's obviously going to be massively inconvenient. Now, I will say, there is a question of how necessary it is to have zoning even for those use cases. Like, generally, industry is better served by clustering together anyway. But this is the basic purpose of zoning. The other thing, though, that happens is because zoning is obscure and kind of boring, it gets used for a lot of other purposes. And what I'm going to talk about today is the surprising amount of the U.S. that is zoned only for single-family homes. Okay, so when we talk about single-family homes, one thing that often goes overlooked in the discussion of zoning is that there's lots of intermediate stages between mid-rise or high-rise apartments and detached single-family houses, right? So there's a lot of options, but most of these are banned, and so you really just have detached single-family and largely in the limited areas where they're allowed, mid-rise and high-rise apartments. Okay, so after reading Desmond's book, I started looking at Louisville. So this is going to be a bit about Louisville specifically. I know not everyone's there, but other cities are fairly similar. And we could do the same sort of analysis for them if someone had an interest in that. So over 50% of Louisville's land is reserved for large single-family dwellings, and only 6% is zoned for multifamily use. And there's a lot of different zoning ordinances, but you could looking at the 30-ish categories that Louisville has, we could broadly divide them into 5 groups, which is what I did for this analysis. So you've got multifamily residential, and this could be affordable housing. It could not be affordable housing. Just being multifamily and residential doesn't guarantee it's, affordable. But if you are trying to build affordable housing, the cheapest way to do it is multifamily residential. Single-family residential. Single-family large lot. So this is where, in addition to being detached single homes, they actually put a lot size requirement of 9,000 square feet. So this is a fairly sizable lot. It's not absurd McMansion, etc. sizes, but it's a large home on a large lot. Commercial and industrial zones. And then there's a bunch of other smaller categories, mostly related to commercial use, but with a scattering of other stuff thrown in. Okay, so, I was talking about this on the previous slide, but, over half is single-family residential, and then almost a quarter has that minimum lot size requirement. Over half has this large lot size requirement, and then there's a bunch more that is single-family residential. So you're looking at, close to 3/4 and a bit over 2/3 of Louisville's land being zoned for single-family housing. And this is a map, and if you follow the link, you can actually type in an address in Louisville, and it'll pull you right to that address so you can see where things are. But you can also see that multifamily housing is sort of scattered around and really concentrated in a few areas downtown. And then you can also see the industrial areas. You have a bunch of chemical and manufacturing along the river for shipping. And then this is a railroad line that runs through the city. And you again also have chemical and manufacturing there. This large area is the airport and the fairgrounds. And then you have some office parks out in the East End. But you can also see that the bulk of this is just single family, large lot required for development, and so that's the only thing that developers can build without going through a zone changing process. Okay, mentioned this already in terms of interpreting the slides and the map. And then Desmond really wants to argue that, we have to get inclusionary ordinances, remove walls, build bridges. And he says very much that, upholding exclusionary zoning is our politer, quieter means of promoting segregation. So tying back to some of the work we did reading The Sum of Us when we're talking about racial divisions in the U.S., race and class overlap a lot, so both are going to have things to say about each other. As usual, I have some discussion questions for us, and looking forward to talking about this in these Slack this week.